Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on Thursday, September 12th, 2024. First, the housekeeping. We are on for our vid chat tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time. That means get your comments and questions in no later than 10 p.m. U.S. Central Time tonight. Some of you are sending things in an hour late, and I'm going to have to get very strict because we are on that 3-hour time limit. So it's first come, first serve. The earlier you get them in, the more likely your questions will not go unanswered. So, and remember, please keep an eye out for any last-minute changes. We are not expecting any weather, but you never know. But we should be good for tomorrow. Now, let me begin with a confession. I did not watch the presidential debate for the very simple reason that I don't want to be lied to for an hour and a half straight. I'm tired of it. But that said, in listening to the post-mortems from that debate, apparently the story of all of the missing and presumably eaten animals and pets in Springfield, Ohio, emerged as a subject during the debate. Now, I, for one, have no doubt that the stories coming out of Springfield are based in reality, that pets and so on are disappearing because of the influx of illegal immigrants. But I think there may be something else going on with the story. This story appeared, it's by Matthew Sadaka. It appeared 3 days ago, and it appeared in the New York Post tabloid. And I want to read a few paragraphs from this story because I think there's something else going on besides merely a bunch of hungry immigrants eating. So here we are. The title is Animal Sacrifices on the Rise in Queens, with chickens, pigs being tortured in twisted rituals. And here's the story. Quote, animal sacrifices are surging in Queens, with chickens, pigs, and rats being tortured, mutilated, or killed in twisted religious rituals in parkland surrounding Jamaica Bay, the Post has learned. In a little over a month, at least 9 wounded animals or carcasses have been discovered in federally managed Spring Creek Park in Howard Beach and the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge in Broad Channel, including 5 pigs with partially severed ears. Creatures recovered from the revolting scene include a near-dead baby rat tied up in a bag with chicken bones, a freshly decapitated chicken head, a live hen in distress, and a dead dog with its neck snapped. And I'm skipping one paragraph here, quote, and I'm quoting a quotation here. It's continually getting worse. The animal sacrifices are happening more repeatedly, more times a week, unquote. Sloan Quealy, co-founder and president of Zion's Mission Animal Rescue, told the Post. Quote, the sacrificers know it's open season, unquote. One of the distressed pigs was found emaciated in a food-filled crate in July with a deep gash running down its face and its body covered in oils and spices, said Kristen Latuga, who has taken in all 5 of the ailing swine at her Long Island animal sanctuary, Brucey's Angels. Several rescuers and a local religious leader suggested that the torture was linked to a sect of Hindu devotees who worship the goddess Kali and have practiced animal sacrifice in the area surrounding Jamaica Bay for decades. Now let me stop right there. If you're familiar with the Kali sect, Kali is, of course, the name of one of the yugas in Hinduism and is a notoriously evil figure. But what I'm reminded of more in these practices is, if any of you are familiar with the second volume of C.S. Lewis's space trilogy, the novel titled Perelandra, the demonic figure in that novel, a scientist by the name of Weston, simply commits animal cruelties for no other reason than that he can, by tearing open, while they're alive, vivisecting them, essentially, tearing open the flesh of frogs and just tossing them away while they're still suffering. And I think something like that is behind these cults. But let me continue. And again, I'm quoting a quotation here. Quote, "It's misconstruing of what the scriptures say about the conquering of the animalistic values," unquote, said Acharya Arun Gosai, who runs the Bhuneveshwar Mandir temple in Ozone Park. Quote, "They've twisted it and they've sacrificed an actual animal rather than sacrificing the animalistic qualities of man," unquote. Now, I have no doubt that this is a more modern and recent take on what are probably rather old Hindu scriptures. And by the way, I'm not against modern reinterpretations of this sort. You have similar things going on in Islam with various imams saying that the real jihad is to conquer these types of impulses within the individual human being. But again, the practice is there. So let me read three final paragraphs here, because now we're coming to the nub of the story. Quote, "Followers of other religions whose rituals involve animal sacrifice, such as Santeria and voodoo, also have been known to use beaches and parks surrounding Jamaica Bay to carry out bloody rites," unquote. And there you have it, Santeria and voodoo. This is the connection, I believe, to what is happening in Springfield, Ohio. And it highlights, to my mind, once again, the problem that you cannot have culturally inhomogeneous groups of people trying to get along together, all under a common government. It doesn't work. There is little in common with the secularized, westernized culture of the United States and those practices, period. There's no rhyme or reason for us to welcome such people into this country unless you want to have the entire country return to a state of animal sacrifice, and ultimately, let's be honest, folks, where all this leads, human sacrifice. And that, I believe, is also going on. You know where and why I think that. But the final two paragraphs I want to read from this article, I think, are the really important paragraphs to pay attention to. Quote, "The U.S. Supreme Court upheld the right to animal sacrifice on religious grounds in a 1993 ruling." Why stop there, Supreme Court? Continuing. "Under New York state law, however, aggravated cruelty to animals, meanwhile, is a felony punishable by up to 2 years in prison." So I suspect that these types of stories, the more the borders keep getting flooded by all sorts of riffraff and the bottom of the barrel from around the rest of the world, that these types of stories will increase. And the states are going inevitably to push back. And they're going to push back in a manner similar to New York State. So the question is, do we want to continue to keep this policy alive? My answer, quite honestly and bluntly, is no, we don't. We don't need this. We do not need to tolerate animal cruelty of any sort, much less the types of human cruelty that are going on. So that's my take on Springfield, Ohio, folks. This is what I think is going on. A bit of Santeria and voodoo. And that these poor animals, let's remember, many of these animals are pets. They're loved. They are parts of families. And to tear them out of their families is to wound the family. I remind people of what St. Paul says in Romans chapter 8, verses 21 through 23. The whole creation groans and travails, and that includes especially the animals. So that's it for our news and views today concerning the Springfield, Ohio story. Don't forget our vid chat is on for tomorrow at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Don't forget, please, to have your questions and comments in no later than 10 o'clock U.S. Central Time. Now, some of you are having trouble with the timestamps, that the timestamp is showing up as you wait for the last minute, and you email me and say, well, I got it in by the 10 o'clock deadline, but the timestamp says 11 o'clock. Guess what, folks? You've got an entire week to get your comments and questions in. So I'm sorry, I have to look at the timestamp. That's all I have. So please remember, get your comments and questions in as early as you can. That way you increase your chances that your questions won't be dropped until the next vid chat. So see everybody tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody. God bless, and we'll see you on the flip side.